Hello, I'm Dr. Gloria Horsley.
And I'm her daughter, Dr. Heidi Horsley.
Heidi and I want to welcome you to Open to Hope Conversations, the podcast.
We believe that the greatest gift you can give yourself after a loss is hope, using this moment to connect with others who have not only survived but thrived.
So let's get started. Welcome to the Open to Hope show. I'm your host, Dr. Gloria Horsley, with my daughter and co-host,
Dr. Heidi Horsley.
Well, Heidi, we're going to talk about a really important subject today because we're going to talk to people about supporting a bereaved partner, and also for the bereaved persons that are coming on to the show today, they're going to hear about how they can be helped by their partner.
Mm-hmm. Yes, Mom. We're going to talk today about supporting a bereaved partner, something you know a lot about, because I know that you said that your partner has supported you with Dad's loss.
Right. After my husband died, I met someone and he supported me. We've been together for 4 years now. Yeah.
So our guest today that knows a lot about this is Ginger Vigil. Ginger is a writer, artist, and mental health advocate. She has been featured on 9 News, The Everyday Show, and the Being Better Things podcast. She is the author of the memoir, Quiet Between Goodbye and Hello. Welcome to our podcast, Ginger.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. It's lovely to be here.
It's nice having you on today. In 2003, you were married and you left your husband. You had 3 kids. And you ended up getting divorced. And then, how many years later, you went to a funeral? Tell our audience about that.
So in 2011, so it was many years later, I was asked by a friend to give her a ride because her best friend had died of cancer. And that's where I met my now husband. I took that girl because she and her children knew this woman that had passed from cancer, and I really thought it was important that they got to say goodbye. And I met Ray there. I didn't intend to meet a husband there, but it turned out that's where it all started.
Ray was the husband of the deceased woman.
Correct.
Yeah, I was reading some of the things you put in your book about it, and sounds like he was kind of lost and you kind of were friendly with him. And then you kept running into him, right?
It turned out that we actually orbited around each other our entire lives.
Wow.
Grew up within a block of each other, worked at the same amusement park when we were teenagers, knew the same people in high school, went to the same clubs when we were coming of age, never saw each other, which is kind of unusual. I have blue hair now, but I'm a natural redhead. I'm not a tiny person. I'm about 5'9". My husband is a 6'5" Native American with long brown hair. So he's not really a blend into the crowd either. And yet neither one of us remember seeing each other until it was time.
Right. Now, I love that because you kind of just kept running into each other in town, right? And different things.
We actually don't ever remember seeing each other at all until after his wife had passed. Mm-hmm. And then when he came back to Colorado, they had lived in Alaska. Suddenly he was everywhere.
Wow.
And we weren't, of course, dating right away, of course, but it seemed like he was surrounded by people and utterly alone. And I couldn't understand why more people weren't being supportive of him in a healthier way. They would show up with shots, or they'd show up with, hey, let's go to this party, or, hey, you should be happy, she's in a better place, or, just some of these really inane comments that you could tell were really hurtful. And so I decided to lean in as a friend. And that's how it all started.
Now, she died of cancer, right?
Yep, non-Hodgkin's lymphoma.
And she was ill for, 5 years? He took care of her or something?
Yep. She was sick with cancer for 5 years. He was her only caregiver, and they were in Alaska, so they were really isolated from friends and family.
Wow. So you actually got together in 5 months, though, right? And you lost your friendship with the lady who took you to the funeral.
We did. She was very, very angry. And I tried to ask her why she was so upset. I kind of honestly thought that maybe she liked him and hadn't admitted that. And I didn't want to step into that if maybe she was hoping that they could get together. She never told me why it was such a bother to her.
Mm.
And so I thought, this is our life. Ray was actually really clear with me that when you have a blood cancer like Kim did, your relationship as intimate partners ends pretty quickly because it's important as a female not to have germs introduced into your body. So
Mm.
he became her caretaker really early on in her cancer journey. And so by the time the end of her journey got there, he really was at a point where he felt relief that she wasn't suffering anymore.
Mhm.
He was there at her very last moment when her body was failing due to pneumonia. And he actually told her, honey, I know you're tired. If you're ready, it's okay. You can let go. I'll be all right.
Mhm.
And so he was the one who essentially said, it's okay. You can go. And
Right.
within moments of telling her that, she flatlined.
And you also said that she gave him permission to be with another person, right? And that really resonated for me
Mhm.
because my husband also did.
Yes. So she actually, after they had met with their oncologist, her oncologist, she had told him that he wanted to have a conversation, and he was like, we don't need to have a conversation, let's just go home, we'll talk about trials. And she was like, no, I really want to talk. And he was like, okay, what do you want to talk about? He said, I want to talk about you. I'm really worried about what's going to happen to you when I'm not here anymore. You've been drinking too much, you're not eating, I'm really worried. And he was like, no, no, we'll try the trials, we'll figure something out, it's the game is not over yet. And she said, no, Ray, we need to talk. And they were huge music buffs, listened to the radio, had music playing all the time. And during this conversation, a song came on by Jerry Rafferty, the song Right Down the Line.
Mm.
And during this song, she kind of got this faraway look and zoned out for a moment. And he thought that the drugs that she was taking, all the chemo and meds, had kind of created this faraway moment. And he was like, him, and she kind of snapped to, and he said, the next time you hear this song, you're going to be with the person that I sent you. And he was like, okay, honey. And he was pretty convinced at that point that it was the meds that were talking. Except on our first date, we were driving to Mother Cabrini Shrine, which is here in Colorado where we live. And that song started playing on the radio. We
Wow.
didn't hear it again until the day we got married. And we listened to music all the time too. So
Wow.
it was very coincidental. I am not a coincident believer. I fully believe that Kim had a hand in us getting together. Ray has enough trauma from just that experience being her caretaker and his past experience growing up. He needed somebody who understood trauma to be in his life.
Mhm.
And I feel like she must have known that I would be a good fit for him.
What do you think bereaved people need as support? What have you seen?
More than anything, I think that they need someone to just be there.
Mhm.
I think they need to have their stories validated. I think that they need to have their previous loves and lives believed and listened to. It really kind of astonishes people that Kim still has a place in our life. She has a picture in our living room. I still listen to stories about her. Without her, we would not have met.
Mhm.
It is important that I value and keep alive that part of Ray because he lived that.
Mhm.
You know, this is really interesting because I think one of the things that's really important as a bereaved spouse myself is that the person you're with can hear them. They can hear you talk about them, or, you know, if you visited somewhere, I mean, we can talk about it. Your kids, you can talk about your husband to your kids when your partner is around. I mean, he can
Mhm.
acknowledge them. Now, you're divorced.
Yep.
So I wonder what the difference is in support because my partner is divorced and I've talked to him. He loved his wife. If you didn't marry somebody if you didn't love them at the
Right.
beginning. And so I have to respect that too, that, he loved his wife and he respects the fact that I love my husband. But I think it's important to know that we've got big hearts, isn't it?
Absolutely. Humans are far more capable of love and loving more than one person in their lifetime than people realize.
Now, Ray doesn't have any kids.
No, he does not.
Sometimes I hear women say that they're dating people who have lost spouses, and I don't hear guys saying it as much. But it seems that the guys sometimes want to spend a lot of time talking about their deceased spouse, their wife, and some of these women get really frustrated about it. Have you got any thoughts for dealing with that?
Actually, that was one of the things that I really was surprised that I noticed from women in our journey. Men didn't seem bothered that Ray and I got together so quickly after he lost
Hmm.
Kim, and that I didn't have a problem with that process that Kim had passed and that it was so soon, and that we kept Kim alive in our life. But a lot of women really struggled with that.
Mm.
And I really think that that is kind of a societal crux that women have been kind of pitted against each other. And I just told every woman that kind of had the raised eyebrow, and I can't believe you're doing that. Kim is no threat to me. She cannot come back.
Right.
And Ray is capable of loving her and still loving me fully
Mm.
in our relationship. I'm not threatened by the love that he had for her or still has for her. It
Right.
doesn't mean that he can't love me. And I
Mhm.
just tell people we're capable of far more love than we give ourselves credit for. But it was women that were like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you're doing that. Far more than men.
Women often, as you know, Ginger, that we often get together with each other. Like
Mhm.
we, create, our chosen families, etc. We have friendships. Men can get very isolated after a death of a spouse.
Absolutely. And that is actually something that Ray still struggles with. We were actually talking about it. It will be 14 years on the 22nd of December this year that Kim has passed. And Ray has lost so many friends because he's the only friend in his entire friend group that lost a spouse, that lost someone to cancer. And nobody knew how to manage that kind of
Mhm.
life experience. And so they all just kind of faded away.
Well, tell us where people can get your book. And your book
You
is
can,
Quiet Between Goodbye and Hello.
I like that title.
um, it's actually somewhere between you and me, finding the quiet between goodbye
Oh,
and
there we
hello.
Oh,
go.
Somewhere between you and me, finding the quiet between goodbye and hello. And you can get it on Amazon currently. I have it for Kindle and it is for paperback. I am working on getting it as an audiobook, and I am also working on getting it made into a screenplay because I believe it will be a wonderful movie.
Awesome. And what's your
wonderful.
website or where people get in touch with you?
You can reach me on Facebook. I have a artist page there that is called Ginger's Gems because I also sell my art. It is also where I talk a lot about my book, and I also post my podcast links so that they can see the podcast that I'm on.
Great. Well, thank you so much for being on our show today, Ginger. We've really
Thank you
enjoyed it.
so much for having me. I certainly hope that people realize that grief does not mean that you can't have a full life after, and that it does not mean that the people that are grieving can't find beautiful things while they're grieving.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Thank you, Ginger, for helping people find hope after loss again.
Thank you so much for having me.
And thanks everybody for joining us on this show today. And Heidi and I always want to remind you that if you've lost hope, please lean on ours until you find your own. And God bless.
I'm Dr. Heidi Horsley. You have been listening to Open to Hope, the podcast. You can follow Open to Hope on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. To learn more, visit us at opentohope.com and go to Apple Podcasts to subscribe.
I'm Dr. Gloria Horsley. Join us again next week for another Open to Hope conversation, where we invite you to lean on our hope until you find your own.